Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number LB5000-400-643. All of that part number conspires to mean this exact hinge, or at least I should say this hinge with its screws that are included. Let's dissect the part number. First of all, LB means lubricated or lube bearing. And gosh, by first look, you wouldn't tell this is any different than a plain bearing hinge. But frankly, that couldn't be further from the truth. We'll get to that in a moment. 5000 means a few things. It means that, first of all, it is a full mortise hinge. You can see from the swag on the hinge leaves here that when they're brought parallel, they're meant to be mortised flush to the edge of the door and frame. It means that it is a steel-based hinge. It means that it is a standard non-specialty hinge, meaning that they are that they are square in their dimensional properties, meaning that they're not rectangular like you would have in a wide throw hinge. They are 5-knuckle. You can see why they're 5-knuckle there. Okay. Template pattern on the screw holes. This is what's considered standard or template. Template is the active word in that sentence. If someone is qualifying that the hinge must be template pattern, this is it. This is the item. Now, the 400 in the part number means that the hinge is 4 inches tall and 4 inches wide. And the height is always the first dimension on hinges like this, because while it may not be so important on a square hinge, imagine if the hinge was rectangular, like a 4.5 by 4, which is very common on aluminum storefronts, or let's say a 4 by 5, which would be a wide throw hinge. It's crucial to know that first dimension is the height. Now the 643 in the part number, that means 3 things. First, it means that the hinge is made of steel. Second, it means that it is in an antique, what they call satin bronze blackened. We're just going to say an antique brass finish. And it means that it has a clear lacquer on it. Now, we talked about the template pattern. There's a link below this video to a document called Cut Sheet, where you can review all of the important dimensional properties about the hinge. But what's also interesting there is you'll see how the part number changes as the hinge changes. So this is a fairly generic sort of template or cut sheet. It will show you the screw hole locations so that you can, if you're not sure if this is going to match your existing, if you're replacing existing hinges, compare your existing locations to this template. Now in the table down below, you've got a column, you've got 3 columns: steel hinges, brass or bronze hinges, and stainless steel. You'll take note of how the last digit changes in the first row: 5000, 5001, 5002. That tells you how the base material changes. When you get to the 501, 0 or 11 or 12, that's a wide throw hinge. And you can see how that dimension, that reference to the A dimension is only in those columns for wide throw hinges. The 8000 series would be a 3-knuckle hinge. BB is going to give you ball bearing packets here and here. You're probably familiar with seeing a packet of ball bearings. The LB is going to give you this lube or lubricated bearing, and they don't list LB as a 5000 hinge, but they can sure make it. Now, let's jump right to the heart of the matter. If you study that hinge, you're still probably not going to see it, except if you were to notice there's a small wafer or disc that's here and here. If I pull that pin out, we're going to get a better look at it, and it's lubricated LB lube bearing. And they're attached down to where they need to be. They're not going to fall loose on you. There's one there, and there's one there. That's all that there is. Now this is the base material of this bushing is a nylon 66 molybdenum some other material that I could sure request a technical sheet on the base material of that wafer alone if you like. Suffice it to say, it's high-tech stuff. The truth of the matter is this: in the world of hinges from Bommer, you're dealing with plain bearing, which is the least desirable in terms of a door that has any volume of use, or a door closer. You then have ball bearing, which is orders of magnitude more capable of handling a door with a door closer or high volume. And if this is a residential application, I promise you that while you won't see the difference between plain bearing and ball bearing initially, you will see it in 10 years. You will absolutely see wear pattern on your doors just in a home 10 years down the road. That will give way to 20 years. That will give way to the door now no longer being plumb in the frame, but coming out because the gap between the knuckles that metal is just wearing down on each other, and it will eventually, the door will hit the jamb, eventually the lock will no longer latch. Now, the cherry on top of all of it is the lubricated bearing, the LB from Bommer, when under the scrutiny of testing from the BHMA, Builders Hardware Manufacturers Association, is proven to be 30% greater above the ball bearing testing results. This is an elegant hinge because you don't see unsightly bearing packets, and it has the performance of 30% higher than ball bearing. Okay, so that's a reason that is among the many reasons I'm partial to Bommer. Naturally, you'll be able to get the LB in those 3-knuckle and those wide throws and those brass, bronze, or stainless base materials. Spring hinges are going to have an LB sort of construction as well. Back to this hinge, you'll be able to order it really in any size you need, 3.5, 4, 5-inch, even larger. Bommer can do probably up to 6-inch would be my guess. And then, of course, all of the common finishes that you can do on steel. Your brass, your bronze, your chromes, satin, polished, oil rub bronze, prime coat, black Japan, zinc, a variety of every finish you'll be able to obtain. Bommer all but encourages the request of special finishes. Finally, there's next to tantamount, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page within our website where you can review not only all the Bommer products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, along with a link to the full product catalog. The name Bommer is synonymous, in my experience, not so much with standard residential, commercial, institutional, industrial hinges, but more so with spring-loaded hinges, either single-acting and especially double-acting spring hinges. Their 3029 series of double-acting spring hinges is all but ubiquitous in the world of double-acting spring hinges. Surely you've seen them. A restaurant between the kitchen and the dining area of that double-acting door most likely has a Bommer 3029 on it. The final thing I'd like to point out is the Bommer logo, and right above it says Made in USA, a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. If you have any questions on the Bommer LB5000-400-643, full mortise 5-knuckle lube bearing 4x4 in an antique brass finish on a steel base, or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much.